It started with a stupid game. We were at Chris and Karen's party, the kind of night filled with too much wine, too much laughter, and neighbors trying to pretend their marriages were perfect. Someone shouted, "Hall pass," and suddenly the whole room leaned in like it was the most important question in the world. The rules were simple. Name the celebrity you'd be allowed to sleep with. No guilt, no consequences. The table roared with laughter. Lisa leaned forward, eyes sparkling, her voice carrying across the room. Ryan Gosling, obviously. Everyone howled. I forced a smile, but my stomach turned. When they asked me, I shook my head. That's ridiculous. Marriage isn't a game show. The laughter dipped, awkward, until Lisa rolled her eyes and jabbed me in the ribs. Oh, come on, David. Lighten up. If he knocked on our door tomorrow, you'd seriously say no? The group laughed again, but this time it was at me. I remember the heat rising in my chest, the way her grin felt like betrayal dressed as a joke. Later that night, lying beside her in the dark, I whispered, "I don't think that's funny." She kissed my cheek, half asleep. "You take everything too seriously." That was it. Dismissed. Forgotten. But not by me. That moment carved a crack I couldn't ignore. Maybe you think I overreacted, but tell me, if your partner laughed about cheating, if they mocked you in front of friends, wouldn't you feel the ground shift beneath your feet? Years before that night, when I first met Lisa, the world slowed down. I still remember the way her laugh sliced through the noise of a crowded bar, reckless and magnetic. She wasn't the prettiest woman there, not conventionally, but something about her drew me in. The tilt of her head when she listened, the fire in her eyes when she argued, the confidence of someone who believed rules were meant to bend. We fell fast, married after 2 years. My father gave a blunt toast at the wedding. "Don't screw this up." Everyone laughed, and I laughed too, certain I never would. We built what looked like stability, a house in the suburbs, 2 kids, Saturday soccer games, Sunday pancakes, Netflix marathons that stretched too late. On the surface, it was perfect. Solid. Safe. But cracks don't always show until later. And that night at Chris and Karen's, with the wine, the laughter, and that cursed game, I felt the first fracture. Lisa thought boundaries were flexible. I thought they were sacred. And deep down, I feared what happens when you laugh at a line long enough. Eventually, someone will step over it. Years later, I'd find out I was right. David? David Miller? The voice cut through the hiss of the espresso machine like a knife. I turned, and for a second I didn't recognize him. Mike. Thinner, grayer, his shirt hanging loose like it had forgotten how to fit his frame. His eyes, empty, restless, looked like they hadn't closed in years. We sat with our coffees, the bitter steam curling between us. The cafe was alive with chatter, plates clinking, the hum of people living their lives. But to me it all faded into a dull blur. Mike's voice was the only thing sharp in the room. "Do you remember that night? At Chris and Karen's? The hall pass game?" My chest tightened. I nodded, waiting. He gave a laugh that wasn't really a laugh at all. Chloe thought it was harmless. Just a joke. But then she went on some girl's trip, met this washed-up musician, and called it her hall pass. Said it meant nothing. Said it was funny. His fingers trembled as he lifted the cup, coffee sloshing dangerously close to the rim. He set it back down, hard, liquid splattering onto the saucer. It meant everything. His face twisted, voice breaking. We tried counseling. Sat in that office week after week while she stared at her phone. She told me I was suffocating her. Said I was insecure. Then the lawyers came. Then the papers. Now she's gone, chasing one loser after another. And I'm here drinking bad coffee, wondering when I stopped being enough. His words landed heavy, but what rattled me more was the way he said them. Not angry, not bitter, but hollow, like a man already buried. I swallowed hard. "You're saying it ended your marriage? Just that game?" He leaned across the table, his eyes locking on mine, wet and furious. "Not just mine, David. Every couple who played that night. Every single one. Chris and Karen? Done. Jen and Rob? Over. Chloe and me? Wrecked. What started as a joke turned into a curse." His voice cracked on the last word, and for a moment the cafe vanished. It was just him and me, sitting in the wreckage of marriages we once thought were unbreakable. I wanted to push back, to tell him he was exaggerating, that not every marriage dies because of a silly game. But deep down, I knew he wasn't lying. My mind flashed to Lisa that night, the way she laughed when I bristled, the way she smirked at my discomfort, as if fidelity was just another joke for her to play with. On the drive home, the city lights blurred into streaks, his words looping in my skull like a curse I couldn't shake. Every couple. Every single one. By the time I pulled into our driveway, my hands were gripping the wheel, so tight my knuckles were white. Inside the house, everything looked normal. Kids' shoes by the stairs, the smell of dinner still hanging in the air, Lisa humming somewhere upstairs. Safe. Familiar. And yet, when I lay beside her that night, watching her chest rise and fall, all I could hear was Mike's broken voice. Every couple. All gone. I told myself she wasn't Chloe. She wasn't like them. But as the shadows stretched across our bedroom ceiling, I knew what Mike had given me wasn't just a story. It was a countdown. My turn was coming. The phone buzzed across the coffee table, rattling against the wood like a warning. Lisa's name lit up the screen, her smile frozen in that tiny square photo. I grabbed it, expecting the usual slurred chatter, maybe a bar's laughter bleeding through. Instead, chaos exploded in my ear. David. Her voice screeched over pounding bass. Glasses clinked, people screamed, a DJ barked into a mic. The noise was so thick I could barely breathe through it. I pressed the phone harder. Lisa? Where are you? What the hell is going on? Her laugh cut through, wild and sharp, then vanished for a heartbeat. Just static, before she came back, higher, breathless. I met him, David. I met him. The actor. The one from the show. I'm using my hall pass tonight. My chest seized. For a second, the room spun. Lisa, stop. Tell me you're joking. My own voice cracked, desperate, but she didn't hear. Or maybe she didn't care. Fragments cut through the storm. So handsome. Can you believe it? This is insane. Then, silence. The line went dead. The screen dimmed to black. My face reflected in it like a stranger staring back. My hand shook so violently, I nearly dropped the phone. I called again. Once. Twice. 10 times. Each ring stabbed deeper until the voicemail swallowed me whole. My throat was raw from shouting her name into nothing. The house was too quiet, every sound wrong. The tick of the clock, the hum of the fridge, the faint smell of Ryan's shampoo upstairs, all of it mocking me with normalcy. My pulse hammered in my ears, hot blood rushing like a drum. I paced, faster and faster, until the walls closed in. Images crashed into me. Lisa's hand sliding across a stranger's chest, her lips pressed against his, her laugh in his ear. I gripped the couch so hard the fabric tore beneath my nails. My voice trembled. She's drunk. She's messing with me. She'll call back. She has to. But the silence thickened, heavy, suffocating. And in it, Mike's voice slithered back, every couple. Every single one. I stared at the black screen again, my distorted reflection staring back with hollow eyes. My ears burned with heat, my stomach twisting so violently I thought I might vomit. I pressed the phone to my forehead, sweat slicking the glass. The TV flickered silently, faces moving across the screen like ghosts I couldn't recognize. Lisa's voice replayed in my head, shrill and triumphant. I'm using my hall pass tonight. I wanted to scream. To break something. To tear the walls down until the truth spilled out. Instead, I just sat, shaking, the phone dead in my palm. And then it happened. Quiet, almost imperceptible, something inside me gave way. Not loud, not dramatic. Just the subtle, final snap of glass breaking somewhere far off. But it wasn't only me that cracked. It was the foundation beneath everything we'd built. Our home, our vows, our life. A fracture so small no one else could see it. Yet I knew, given time, it would split everything wide open. And once it did, there would be no putting it back together. I sat in the car outside Chris's house, the engine ticking as it cooled, my hands welded to the steering wheel. Warm light spilled through the curtains, shadows moving across the glass. From here it looked ordinary, safe, normal. Inside me, everything screamed. Proof. That was the only thing that mattered now. Proof. When Chris opened the door, he looked relaxed, smiling, like this was just another neighborly visit. David. Hey, come on in. My own smile felt like broken glass in my face. The kitchen reeked of stale coffee, sharp and bitter. Chris chatted about work, about Emily and Ryan, about the damn neighborhood barbecue. I nodded, but the words didn't land. All I heard was the ticking of the clock on the wall. Every beat, another second wasted. Then Karen came down the stairs. Damp hair, fresh skin. She froze a fraction too long when she saw me. Then the mask, the polite smile. I leaned forward, voice casual, sharp underneath. Lisa told me Miami was wild. Bet you've got stories. For an instant her smile wavered. The glass she grabbed clinked against the counter, too loud. Oh, it was fine. Just fun. A little shopping, some drinks. Nothing crazy. She avoided my eyes. I didn't blink. Nothing crazy? She laughed, forced. David, you're reading too much into it. Everyone just relaxed. Her hand tightened on the glass, knuckles pale. Chris's phone rang, and he excused himself to take it. The second he left, I slipped my phone from my pocket and laid it on the table, screen down. The soft thud was deafening. Karen's eyes darted toward it, then back to her drink. I leaned in, lowering my voice. Lisa called me from a club. She was screaming about her hall pass. Said she was using it. You want to explain that? Karen swallowed hard. She was drunk. You know Lisa. She likes attention. It didn't mean anything. Didn't mean anything? My voice was a blade, quiet and sharp. She broke eye contact, staring at the counter. David, please. You don't want to do this. I'm already doing it. Silence. Her shoulders sagged. Finally, the crack. Her voice dropped, low and ashamed. She met someone. Said it was her hall pass. I tried to stop her, but she left with him. She didn't come back until morning. The words landed like a hammer to my chest. My ears rang, my blood pounding so loud it drowned the clock. My palms slicked with sweat against the table, fingers curling hard enough to ache. For a moment I thought I might lunge across the counter. Instead, I kept my face still. My voice cracked. So it's true. Karen's eyes filled with guilt. She nodded. Yes. The sound of Chris's footsteps broke the silence. I snatched my phone back, ending the recording with a tap that felt like pulling the pin from a grenade. When he walked in, joking about a client, I forced a smile that didn't reach my eyes. My whole body buzzed, every muscle trembling as I left the house. By the time I sat in my car, the world outside blurred. Her words replayed again and again. She left with him. She didn't come back until morning. Proof. The first crack of daylight cutting through the lie. Lisa thought she could bury me with charm, with laughter, with lies whispered in the dark. But I had her voice. I had her betrayal on record. And in that moment I understood. I didn't just have proof. I had ammunition. And the war was only beginning. The house was silent, but my chest wasn't. Every breath scraped like fire in my throat. I sat rigid on the couch, eyes locked on the door, counting every tick of the clock. When the metallic scrape of keys finally broke the silence, my stomach dropped. The lock clicked, the knob turned, and she was back. Lisa breezed inside like a storm in high heels, her suitcase rolling behind her, sunglasses perched in her hair. Perfume hit first, sweet, sharp, invasive. Her skin glowed from the Florida sun, hair tousled like a model stepping off a runway. She looked like paradise. But to me, she smelled like gasoline over an open flame. Hey, babe, she sang, voice too bright, too polished. My arms folded, steel bands tightening around my ribs. How was Miami? My voice was flat, brittle. She dropped her suitcase by the stairs, kicked off her heels with a thud, stretched with a satisfied groan. It was amazing. Honestly, unforgettable. That word split through me like a blade. My jaw locked. My chest burned. You want to explain that phone call? Her eyes flicked, just for a second, hesitation, then gone. She laughed, sharp and mocking, but her fingers fumbled with her sunglasses before she threw them onto the table. The clatter echoed like a gunshot. Oh, David, you're still hung up on that. I told you, it was just my hall pass. The room shifted, heavy and suffocating. That wasn't a joke, Lisa. I snapped, my voice shaking with fury. That was you bragging about screwing some stranger. Her lips twisted into a smirk, but I saw it. The briefest twitch in her jaw, a crack before the mask slid back on. Correction, she purred. Not a stranger. A star. Do you know how many women would kill for that chance? My fists clenched until nails dug crescents into my palms. Sweat trickled down my back, sticking my shirt to the chair. My voice tore out raw. You betrayed me. You betrayed our kids. And you're smiling? She tilted her head, feigning sympathy. Betrayed? Don't be so dramatic. It was one night. One hall pass. That was the deal. That was never our deal. My shout rattled the glass in the windows. Her smirk faltered, annoyance flashing across her face before she rolled her shoulders, masking it with a shrug. You always overreact. She turned and started up the stairs, her perfume trailing behind like poison smoke. Each heel strike on the wood pounded like nails into a coffin. I stayed rooted, chest heaving, the recording in my pocket burning hot as iron. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't scared. She thought she was untouchable. Worse, she thought she was justified. My hands trembled, sweat slick on my palms, ears ringing from the echo of my own shouting. I could still see the flicker in her jaw, the stumble of her fingers, the hairline crack in her perfect mask. She thought she held the knife. She thought she controlled the game. But she didn't know I was already holding the blade, sharp and hidden, pressed against her back. The war had already begun. Confessing to my father felt like swallowing glass. The words scraped out raw, jagged, and once they left my mouth there was no pulling them back. We were in his garage, the air thick with oil, dust, and gasoline. Tools hung on the walls like weapons, and the faint crack of a baseball bat on the radio sliced the silence. He didn't answer right away. He wiped his hands with a rag, slow, deliberate, his eyes fixed on me like he was measuring the weight of my soul. Finally, his voice came low, gravel ground into steel. In my day, a man wouldn't stand for that. You don't come back from something like this, David. You can patch rubber, but once the steel tears, it's finished. His words landed heavy. I wanted him to say there was hope. I wanted him to say love could fix it. But Don Miller never dealt in fairy tales. My throat tightened. My palms were slick with sweat. I don't know what to do, I whispered, but my voice sounded like it belonged to someone else. He jabbed the rag at me like a weapon. You've got kids. Don't let her poison them. If you stay, she'll drag them down with her. His eyes narrowed, sharp as nails. You protect those kids, even if it means cutting her out. The smell of gasoline burned my throat. I nodded, but inside I was breaking apart. That night at dinner, the tension sat heavy at the table, thicker than the steam rising from Ryan's soup. Emily watched me, sharp, dissecting every twitch. I could feel her question forming long before she asked. Her fork clattered against the plate, slicing the silence. Mom, did you cheat on Dad? The air froze. Ryan's spoon hung midair, soup dripping back into the bowl. My heart lurched so violently it hurt. Lisa laughed, brittle, too quick. Of course not, honey. Who told you that? Emily's voice trembled, but her eyes burned steady. Then why did Aunt Karen say you left with that guy? Why does Dad look like he's going to explode every time you walk in? Lisa's smile faltered before snapping back in place. Karen talks too much. Don't listen to her. Emily turned to me. Her gaze was sharp enough to cut me open. Dad, my throat closed. My hands trembled against the table. If I told her the truth, I'd shatter her world. If I lied, I'd shatter myself. Eat your dinner, Emily. I whispered, my voice so thin it barely existed. The chair screeched as she shoved back and stood. You're both lying, she shouted, storming upstairs. The door slammed, rattling the picture frames on the wall. Ryan stared wide-eyed, spoon frozen in his hand. Lisa leaned back in her chair, arms folded, lips curved in smug silence. But I saw it, the flicker of fear in her eyes. Don's words echoed, pounding in my skull. Don't let her poison them. My hands curled into fists under the table. And for the first time, I knew. Waiting was over. The next move was mine. Her purse sat open on the counter, careless, tempting. I told myself not to look. My stomach was already acid. But some quiet, merciless voice whispered, the truth is in there. My hand moved before I could stop it. Lipstick, receipts, tangled earbuds, then glossy paper, a photo. My heart lurched so hard it rattled my ribs. Lisa, glowing, pressed against a man she swore was an actor. His arm curled tight around her, his grin wide, hers wider. In black marker, scrawled across the corner, to Lisa, with all my love, Brandon. The room spun. My pulse thundered in my skull, so loud I barely heard myself breathe. My knees went weak, and I had to grip the counter to keep standing. For a second, I thought I might actually collapse. I spread the rest of the photos. Selfies in the club, lipstick smeared, her body wrapped around him like they'd known each other forever. But the longer I stared, the more it clawed at me. The jawline wasn't right. The eyes were dull. The smile was wrong. Hollow. My hands shook so violently the photos slipped, scattering across the counter like fallen leaves. Cold sweat ran down my back, chilling me to the bone. Something was off. I grabbed my laptop, the glow turning the kitchen into a morgue. Fingers stumbled over keys. Click. Scroll. Dig. And then, there he was. Brandon Steele. Not a Hollywood star. Not even close. A fraud. A predator who made his living impersonating celebrities. Dozens of victims. Multiple arrests. My screen filled with headlines that screamed like sirens. Infamous double implicated in dozens of affairs. Conman targets lonely women by posing as actors, soldiers, priests. Victims say he ruined lives, left them in debt and disease. My stomach clenched. My ears roared like I was underwater. Lisa hadn't just betrayed me. She'd been conned, fooled like a fan desperate for a glimpse of stardom. And in her delusion, she had dragged our life into the mud with her. Rage and shame burned so hot in my chest I could barely breathe. Proof. Finally, I had proof. But proof wasn't enough. I needed a weapon. That night, I drove to Rebecca Clark. Her office smelled of leather, ink, and power. Law books towered behind her desk. Certificates gleamed in their frames. Rebecca sat there in blood-red lipstick, her gaze sharp enough to peel skin. A pen twirled slowly in her fingers, lazy and deliberate, like she was weighing whether to use it as a tool or a knife. I laid everything down, the photos, the headlines, the recording from Karen. She didn't flinch, didn't blink. She just studied me, her eyes narrowing with interest, as if measuring whether I was strong enough to carry the war she was about to unleash. When she finally spoke, her voice was cool, deliberate. Every word cut. She thinks she can laugh her way out. She doesn't realize. Rebecca leaned forward, the pen still spinning, her smile thin and merciless. We're already 5 moves ahead. Something in me shifted. The pressure in my chest didn't vanish, but it sharpened, focused. For the first time, I wasn't drowning. I was armed. I wasn't alone. Rebecca wasn't just a lawyer. She was a predator. And now, she was hunting with me. Lisa thought she still held the knife. She thought she was untouchable, but she didn't see what I was already holding, loaded, cocked, aimed right at her back. The war hadn't just started. It was already hers to lose. A courtroom isn't a place of truth. It's a battlefield disguised as silence. I sat at the plaintiff's table, palms slick on polished wood, my heartbeat pounding in my throat like a war drum. The air was heavy, every scrape of a chair, every cough magnified until it felt like thunder. Across from me sat Lisa, hair flawless, makeup perfect, pearl earrings flashing like trophies. She looked serene, like marble carved into grace. But I knew the rot beneath. Karen hovered just behind her, leaning close, whispering rehearsed lines like a stage mother priming her star. The oath was sworn. Lisa's voice rang steady. No, I never cheated. My husband is exaggerating. He's paranoid. My chest locked tight, nails carving crescents into my palms. Then Karen's turn. She raised her hand, eyes calm, lips soft. David twists things. He's been unstable. He reads too much into harmless fun. You know how some men are. Her pitying tone made bile rise in my throat. For a moment, the floor tilted under me. What if the mask held? What if the truth never broke through? Then Rebecca stood. No hurry, no raised voice. Just slow, measured steps to the center of the room, her heels clicking like a countdown to execution. She didn't need volume. She radiated gravity. Mrs. Miller, she said, voice low, almost sympathetic. You're telling this court you never left the club that night? Lisa nodded, smooth, confident. That's correct. So you'd swear to that under oath? Rebecca tilted her head. Lisa's eyes didn't flicker. Yes, I never left. Silence. My pulse roared, my ears filled with static, as if the whole room was holding its breath. Rebecca pressed a button. My recording crackled through the speakers. Karen's voice, tinny but unmistakable. She left with him, David. She didn't come back until the morning. The sound detonated like a bomb. Gasps rippled. A woman clutched her pearls. Someone muttered, "Jesus Christ," too loud. Karen's face drained to chalk. Lisa's smile collapsed, her mouth open, eyes wide, darting like an animal searching for an exit. Rebecca didn't pause. Another click, and the screen lit up. Photos of Lisa clinging to Brandon, lipstick smeared, eyes glassy. The gallery erupted in whispers, swelling like a wave about to break. My chest burned as if every eye in the room was on me, searing me alive. My hands trembled on the table, sweat slicked between my fingers. And yet I couldn't look away. The judge leaned forward, his gavel resting like a weapon. Rebecca's voice sliced the air. "So, Mrs. Miller, do you still want this court to believe you never left that club?" Lisa's hand twitched on the armrest, trembling. Her lips parted, but nothing came out. Her silence screamed louder than words. And in that silence, I saw it. The mask cracking. A fracture, small but fatal. My pulse roared, my lungs tight. Laughter threatening to tear out of me. Not from joy, but savage relief. I swallowed it down. Because I knew this wasn't victory. Not yet. Broken masks cut deep. And a woman cornered is always the most dangerous. The silence after Rebecca's strike wasn't relief. It was the silence before an execution. My pulse slammed in my ears, every beat a hammer on steel. My tongue was dry as sand. Across the courtroom, Lisa's mask had cracked, but Rebecca wasn't finished. She paced slowly, savoring the moment, heels clicking like a metronome counting down to death. "Your Honor," she said, voice steady as a blade. "The man Mrs. Miller claims is a celebrity is not who she thinks." The judge leaned forward. Jurors shifted. Even the bailiff lifted his eyes. Rebecca tapped her laptop. The projector flared. A mugshot filled the wall. Brandon Steele. Hollow eyes. Crooked grin. A predator caught in dirty light. Gasps rippled. "A fraud," Rebecca continued. "A convicted scam artist who impersonates celebrities to seduce women. Dozens of victims. Multiple states." Another click. Headlines burned across the screen. Infamous double-rex marriages across the country. Con man pretends to be actors, soldiers, even priests. Victims warn. He leaves families in ruin. The whispers surged. A woman in the gallery clutched her pearls. Someone muttered, "Jesus Christ." Another smirked, arms crossed, satisfied like he was watching justice finally swing its blade. One person raised a phone before a bailiff barked at them to put it away. Lisa's face drained of color. Sweat beaded and ran down her temple. Her fingers clawed the table, nails scraping wood until the sound grated through the silence. Rebecca's final strike was merciless. "We also have evidence Mr. Steele is under investigation for spreading communicable diseases." So when Mrs. Miller claims she exercised a harmless hall pass, her pause was cruel. What she really did was endanger her husband, her children, her entire family. The gallery erupted. Gasps. Shouts. One man laughed too loudly, sharp as a gunshot. The judge slammed his gavel. "Enough." The room snapped to stillness. My chest was ice and fire all at once, air shredding my lungs. The gavel came down again, sharp, final. "This court rules in favor of the plaintiff. Custody of the children is awarded to Mr. Miller. Mrs. Miller's actions constitute reckless endangerment and breach of marital contract. She is hereby deemed unfit as a guardian." The words thundered through me. My knees buckled under the weight of them. For the first time in months, air filled me, raw and searing, but alive. Behind me, Emily clapped her hands over her mouth, tears spilling. Ryan leaned into my father's side, confused but safe. Across the room, Lisa sat frozen, trembling. Her lips parted, but no words came. Her eyes were wide and glassy, vacant yet burning. Her fingers kept dragging across the wood, clawing grooves like an animal trying to dig its way out of a trap. For once, she had no smile, no spin, no mask, just silence, just ruin. But even as I watched her unravel, a chill seeped into my bones. This wasn't the end. No, her mask had shattered, and shattered things cut deeper than whole ones. Lisa wasn't broken yet. Stripped of everything, She was unchained. And a cornered woman, with nothing left to lose, is the most dangerous creature alive. The verdict didn't just end our marriage. It detonated Lisa's entire life. Within days, her face was everywhere. Gossip blogs, trashy tabloids, Twitter threads that chewed her up and spat her out. The hall pass wife. Memes of her drunk selfies captioned, "One night, lifetime of regret." Side-by-sides of her clinging to Brandon Steele next to his mugshot with the tag, "Lisa the Loser." My phone buzzed nonstop with links and screenshots. Friends, co-workers, even strangers. I didn't have to look, but I always did. Each headline was a knife, twisted with equal parts shame and grim satisfaction. Lisa tried calling people, but no one picked up. The charity she chaired deleted her photo overnight. Even Karen, her loyal shadow, slipped away without a word. Lisa wasn't just exposed. She was toxic, and everyone knew it. Then came the explosion. A reporter cornered her outside the courthouse, cameras flashing, questions flying like arrows. "Mrs. Miller, did you know he was a fraud? Do you regret the affair?" Lisa's face twisted. Her voice went shrill. "Get out of my face." She shoved the woman so hard she slammed onto the pavement. Gasps. Shouts. The sick crackle of camera shutters. One flash caught the smear of blood blooming on the reporter's lip. The video went viral before Lisa even reached the holding cell. Assault charges. 6 months in county jail. By the time she got out, she was unrecognizable. Her hair stringy dull, skin pale, stretched thin, eyes wide and frantic, darting like a trapped animal. She came to my door one night, fists pounding wood in desperate rhythm. I opened it. Lisa stood trembling, smelling of sweat, cheap perfume, and cigarettes. Her mascara streaked down her face, her nails jagged and broken. Her voice was raw, shredded. "David, please. We can fix this. I know I made mistakes, but you know I still love you. We can be us again." For half a second, my chest tightened. I almost saw her, the woman I met in that bar, the girl who laughed like she owned the world. For half a second, I wanted to believe her. But then Miami came back. Her mocking smirk, the sunglasses tossed on the table, her brag about her star. She wasn't sorry for what she did. She was only sorry for losing. My voice came steady, colder than steel. "Lisa, you didn't just cheat. You took our life and set it on fire. And then you laughed while it burned. There's no coming back from that." Her face collapsed. She reached for me, but I stepped back. Slowly, deliberately, I closed the door. Her fists pounded once, twice. Her sobs seeped through the wood, muffled and broken. And then, silence. I stood there with my hand on the knob, the metal cool against my palm. For the first time in years, my chest felt light. The silence wasn't empty. It was freedom. That was the last time I saw her. When Emily and Ryan ask about their mother, I give them the truth in pieces they can carry. No sugar, no venom, just clarity. Lisa lost everything because she chased a thrill she thought was her right. And I walked away with the only things that mattered: my children, my dignity, and a future she could never touch. The door closed behind her for the last time. And for me, another door opened. But somewhere deep down, I knew, one day, my kids might seek her out. And when they did, they'd find nothing but a ghost of the woman she used to be.